And the product manager, you're not really an authority on anything, to be honest. You can't code, you can't design. So why would people respect you when you don't bring, what skills do they respect you for? The idea is about being a expert in your domain, being the expert on the user and understanding the business context. That's where your expertise comes in as a product manager, and your authority of knowing the scenario better than anybody else comes in. So as I said, do whatever you have to, but get good products out there and get users. Otherwise, you're useless.
Introducing the panel for today, we have all the panelists here today joining us. I'd like to welcome them all for taking time and being part of Seeko's product panel discussion. First up, I have Ajit, who has joined us. Ajit is an Associate Director of Product Design and UX Research at Flipkart. Hi, Ajit. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Hey, folks. Hi. Thanks for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Ajit, for that. We also have Ishwarya Srinivas, who is the Director of Product at Moxie. Hi, Ishwarya. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, hi, guys. Thanks for having me. Excited about the session today.
We also have Himanshu Periwal, who is the co-founder for Unlu Classes. Hi, Himanshu. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Shweta. Really looking forward to this session.
And we also have Abhishek, who has joined us, who's the Director of Product at Godera.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. Looking forward to the questions as well.
Thanks a lot, all of you, for being here. We also have Aman, who's the product and the growth person at CK5, who's joined us, who will be the moderator for the session today.
Thank you, Shweta, for the lovely introduction for each one of us. And, before we get started, why don't we actually ask a few common questions which are related to product to our wider audience. So to everyone out there, we are just shooting some questions to you guys. It's in form of a Zoom quiz, Zoom poll. Please answer it. These are some of the questions which we'll also cover during this panel discussion today. So, it will help you guys understand, if you are thinking in the right direction, or do we break some of the common myths today? So please do answer this. So everyone, a lot of you mentioned that you guys are aware about what product is, but if you ask around, about what exactly entails in product as a function, there is a lot of misunderstanding. There are so many different answers we hear depending on who we are talking to. Even on LinkedIn, we see a lot of things, which sort of contradict each other when talking about product. And to just get started with all our panelists, I just want them to answer in a minute or two. They have had enormous experience, collectively 40 plus years of experience in product as a domain. So if you can define, based on your work ex, what does product as a function mean to you? That would be great. So we can start with Ajit, maybe. Ajit, if you can just start off with a 1 or 2 minute introduction about product as a function.
Can I request others to go first? Being the designer, I'll bring my views towards the end, if that is okay.
Sure. So see, I believe when you talk about product management, while there are, so there are the two aspects to it. One is a functional skill set, and second is, let's say a cultural or I would say a qualitative skill set, which is required to understand the product. While functional is something which a lot of people would know about, and I'm sure, others would cover a lot in detail, which would include, let's say, design, some bit of technical understanding, user flows, user research, a lot of these things, which is usually, taught a lot also in the programs and online courses. I would just like to maybe just in 60 seconds talk about two very important aspects on the qualitative side. One is user empathy, right? And second is, the overall understanding of, you take up any product like a B2C or a B2B product. If you have a good user empathy, you are able to understand and put yourself in the user's shoes, right? And understand what could be the requirement, right? And second is the stakeholder management. So again, for any product, as a product manager, you would need to manage from designers to engineers to business people to ops, all kinds of,
Maybe Ishwarya, you can go next.
Yeah, sure. Let me do that. So I think Himanshu spoke about two very important skill sets required, right, to be a great product manager. But I'll just take a quick step back and maybe talk to you about what is the product function really, right? The collection of designers, product managers, and engineers in the product function. What really are they doing day in and day out, right? So let's take an example of the delivery apps. Let's take Swiggy and Zomato. So right from the time that you land in the app, be it the app or the website, from the time you discover stuff like which restaurant do I order from, or which dish do I order from, that experience of you deciding what you want to order, to your purchase experience, to the actual fulfillment of your order, followed by the post-order feedback, right? Your ratings, reviews, or if you have a problem with your delivery, you call the customer support and complain, you ask for a refund. So the product function, in short, is responsible for all of these touch points. So as a product manager, you might be working on any of these areas, or sometimes as you become senior, you will have a visibility into all of these areas. But that's what defines really the product function in B2C, right? And from a B2B context, it's a little bit more straightforward because the product is what your consumers are actually using. But even within that, as a product manager, you could be working on product functionality, you could be working on the growth aspect of your product, or you could also be working on a product platform where multiple products will use your platform, API as a layer, or AWS for an example, right? So there are product is a very dynamic cluster of roles. But in short, this is what I think kind of explains what we do day in and day out.
Abhishek, if you can go next. Ajit has deserved the last spot for himself. So.
The best comes for the last, I guess. But yeah, so I'll take a different stab at it, right? So one of the famous definitions I grew up on when product came in 10 years ago was you are the CEO of the product. The truth is actually very far from it. You are rarely ever the CEO of the product. You don't have. I call it the function with a lot of responsibility without authority, because the design team doesn't report to you, engineering doesn't report to you. No one has to listen to you, to be honest. But if things don't go well, then it actually is come down to you. So a large part of the product role is about getting shit done. So recently, one of my somebody asked me, does this lie within the realm of my JD, or should I be doing this? My response is, as a product manager, you need to do whatever needs to be done to get the job done. Take support calls, do customer calls, pre-sales, sales. It doesn't matter what it is, because one of it. So there are two parts to it, right? People respect you when you are able to solve something for them. And the product manager, you're not really an authority on anything, to be honest. You can't code, you can't design. So why would people respect you when you don't bring? What skills do they respect you for? Then what skills they do? I think Himanshu touched on some of it, and I should touch on some of it. The idea is about being a expert in your domain, being the expert on the user and understanding the business context. That's where your expertise comes in as a product manager, and your authority of knowing the scenario better than anybody else comes in. And then it's like you orchestrate things like a conductor would in an orchestra symphony to get things done. But that's roughly what it is. So as I said, do whatever you have to, but get good products out there and get users. Otherwise, you're useless, pretty much. Yeah.
Ajit, maybe you can add your design lens to the discussion now.
Product design is like if there are two sides of the same coin, I see product design as the other side of the coin for product management. In a sense, it's like if it's a movie, there is two folks are always in the highlight, right? One is a director, another is a cinematographer. One is like, what's the story that you're going to say? Another is how well you're going to present it, right? So if design understands the idea of how I can package this, right? Which means I look at the same lens as what product management sees, but can I package it better? I think that's what product design brings into the flavor. But pretty much both of us constantly go after one thing, right? Questioning, and who is our user. Always constantly go after who the user is, because if I am presenting something very wrong to a very wrong set of audience, I think I've lost them, right? So it's about how I connect with the target group that I'm going after. So in short, if I have to say what is product, right? For me, product is about the incremental delight that you give to your target audience every single day. I think that by itself is a metric for us to keep pushing the boundaries of what product can become. So which touches upon what everybody covered, right? The whole life cycle of the user who goes through that complete journey, starting from the first touch point of marketing to getting inside the product to having a good experience on the product and till the very end, right? So that whole life cycle is managed. So for me, it's that incremental experience when it comes to what is product to a very simple person. Can I give the goodness every single day? So for me, that's product.
So I guess a lot of important points there. Just to one thing that stuck with me is when Abhishek mentioned a lot of people think of product manager as the CEO, and I've heard it so many times. It's and so not true, because as even Himanshu covered, a lot of product job is about influencing stakeholders, and I also saw a lot of commonality between Ajit, exactly what you said, creating that experience. Aishwarya gave an example about it. If food delivery as an example, then how can we actually delight user on each step, right? From ordering to finally receiving the order, including payments and all the intermediary steps in between. So yeah, very, very interesting points. I've been actually just going through some of the feeds that the questions have been asked, and a lot of questions that people are asking right now, or even, outside this session, is the focus on early stage of their career. So basically a lot of people are actually wondering if they are in the early stage of their career, or if they're just trying to get into product as a function or become a product manager, what should they focus on? What should be the skills that they should acquire? And so Aishwarya, if you have any thoughts on this, maybe you can start. What are the core skills when you were probably starting your career as a product manager? What did you focus on?
Sure. So overall, the skill sets and responsibilities required for PMs generally vary, right? Depending on which company you want to be a PM for. And sometimes, interestingly, even within the same company, different PMs need different skill sets. But I think there are a few broad common themes. So I'll just highlight a few and let others add to it. First is you need to be very good at product discovery, like Ajit rightly pointed out, right? So in general, early in your career or even in your interview, people will start with assigning you a feature or assigning you a problem to solve for. But what really helps you get better at it and stand out is how good are you in nailing down that core need, right? So you need to be able to kind of understand your user needs better, be comfortable talking to your users. Or if, let's say, you're a B2C product and you don't have access to your users, you need to be comfortable looking at the different sources of data and kind of understanding the story that your data is telling you. So definitely to translate it into core skills, being very comfortable with data, being comfortable with user research and user interviews. And to be honest, when I started off in product management in 2013, we did not have the luxury of professional UX researchers. So it is usually the designer and the PM two in a box. We'll just try to recruit users and conduct interviews. And to be honest, most companies even today will not have like a professional UX researcher, right? So you need to be really good at those skills. The second, I would say, which you should develop to be a good product manager is product curiosity. Like, irrespective of whether it's related to you or not, try all apps and products that are trending, right? I mean, if something comes new, if it's Clubhouse, and even if you don't like Clubhouse, just try it. Whatever is new, whatever new feature the trending product is launching, you got to try it, because that's when you'll really understand what is so awesome about these products. If you really find some pain points, how can you improve those pain points? And if you're able to identify the pain point, go the next step and find, what could be the possible solutions? And once you get good at that, it's almost like a mind map, right? So if we can find the solution for that, why are all those great PMs in all those famous products not solving for it? What would be their competing priorities? So just kind of train your brain to start thinking like this. So that will not only help you in your interview, but over time, it will also kind of help you develop a strong product intuition. The third is a little bit more tactical, is how can you help your engineering team with product execution? And early in your career, 70 to 80% of your time, you're going to be doing that. And you need to be your engineering and QA team's best friend, and writing awesome product specs and helping them visualize the positive and negative use cases of whatever feature that you are owning is super important, right? And that there are a lot of tools today that can help you achieve that, be it Miro or any flowcharting tool or wireframing tool. So try to get better at that. So even before you become a product manager, if you train yourself to do these things, I think it will be really easy for you to grow in your career as a product manager.
Thanks, Aishwarya. So, one of the points you mentioned was having that curiosity and trying out new products. I would just like to share a small anecdotal experience, mostly for the users today. So one of my very good friends, when CRED app was launched a couple of years back in 2019, he happened to be the first one among the first ones to download it and send the feedback to the product team at CRED. And today he is working as a product manager at CRED because they just hired him right through there. So it is actually very important. And even, us guys in product team, we really love to hear feedback from users. So to the users, do keep checking out, have that curiosity. Another point that you mentioned was, at least early in the career, a lot of the time of a product manager goes with the engineers, right? Working with them, defining the scope for them, and which brings us probably to our next question. And how important is knowing how to code for a PM, because you're going to spend a lot of time working with the engineers. So maybe Himanshu, you may take this question. What are your thoughts on this? How important is to know how to code or understand the entire tech stack per se?
Sure, Aman. So maybe I could probably just start with my experience, how I became, the product manager at Amazon. So my career started as, an analyst at Bain & Company, and gradually like an associate and consultant. Then, from thereafter, I joined Amazon, and it was when it was being launched in India, right? And was probably, I think, the first product marketing manager there. But there was no sort of technical experience, or there was no sort of, I would say, even a design experience, that I had, and I hadn't even taken any course, right? So it's just about the skill sets were analytical nature, able to understand and have a very high level of user empathy, right? And actually, I think that is what helped me crack that and take up or transition to a product manager role. And not just like my personal experience, but I've seen at Ixigo, and I can name people like who started off as a designer and went on to become a growth person, and right now he is a very good product manager. I mean, I've interacted with him and understood. So actually, like, roles evolve, and I know also of a CA who has transitioned to become a product manager. In fact, like right now he's transitioning to become a head of or heading a product for other companies, insurtech companies. So there are a lot of examples I know in my own circle where coding per se is not at all mandatory, to become a product manager. While having said that, majority of the use cases, there are a lot of engineers, there are a lot of quality assurance people who end up becoming a product manager. It really helps, if you have some sort of a coding or technical experience before that. At the same time, it is not mandatory at all, So learning these skill sets, especially because of these online courses, are becoming more and more, I would say, easy as well as, accessible. You really don't have to kind of either like say go for an MBA or spend like 3-4 years in junior roles before becoming a product person. And usually, let's say, I mean, one thing which people, especially given that there are a lot of undergrads here, which my advice would be, you should really be open for internship opportunities at good companies in the product roles. You should be open for doing, let's say, an APM role to start off with, a lot of such opportunities, which will help you in transitioning to a better product role, maybe a year or 2 years down the line. It gives you a lot of experience, and all the domains like analytics and design and all of such domains are definitely going to help you move towards a product role in the future, in case like an APM doesn't become your first step. Don't be disheartened, because any of these relevant roles will become the sort of the first founding stone for you to jump to a product role in the future. Hope that helps, and please feel free to add anybody else in case there are other experiences which can be helpful for students.
Abhishek, if you want to add something, since you come from an engineering background, I think.
It's not about. I think understanding tech is more important than, I guess, knowing to code. I don't think you have to go that level to know code. I think at some point you do, because you need to have a conversation with these people. So you need to understand design also to some extent. You might not be able to design entirely, but you understand design. When they say, so it's about finding a common language to talk to these people rather than knowing to code. So tech is important, yes, but not to the extent that you can develop an app on your own. Design is important, but not to the extent we can design something on your own also. So I think it's about having a common language more than anything else.
Thanks for that. So moving to a completely different angle from coding to the other side of things. So even though a lot of users today responded that MBA is not a mandatory requirement for product, but when we actually have talked to them, one of the common questions I've seen is most of the product managers working in Amazon or any bigger company today have either a degree from IIM or an ISB. So that, and which basically the question that they ask is how important is an MBA? So what are the skill sets that an MBA brings out and or does not bring out? So so again, Abhishek, I'll start with you. So you don't have an MBA, so but still you have been a successful product manager. So what is your thought on this?
There are two parts to it, right? One part is about whether the MBA helps you with the on-job role itself. There is a clear no for me. I don't think it makes any difference whether you have an MBA or not to be a good product manager. The other part is about cracking the resume, short list, or getting into the eyes of somebody who can, take an interview for you. There it's very divided. I think MBA is an easy filter for people to when you receive a lot of resumes. MBA seems to be some sort of a you see a lot of people. Even I was applying for jobs last year. After experience of 10 years, they said MBA at a top tier institute. I'm like, I don't know what I would have done with the MBA at a top tier institute that I haven't done in the past 10 years of doing the job on hands. So I don't really. I think it's a very lazy filter, if you ask me, from people. I came from a very different background, to be honest. My first product role was with Girish and Freshworks, and a lot of what I pick up in terms of how I look for people come from his philosophy of how he hires. We hire for attitude, for skill set, and that's how I look at it personally. But I think if you look at the job market right now, startups in general and companies in general, they do insist on I'm not sure entry level roles or not, but they do insist for MBAs. So as in two parts to it. For the role itself, it's completely useless. But if you think that MBA will help you crack the resume screening or the interview, then it's become a mandatory requirement of sorts. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Ishwara, do you want to add something since
yeah, sure.
you have an MBA from SPJN?
Yeah, definitely will do that. And I'll start off by first saying that SPJN did not get me my first product role, right? So that maybe kind of answers your doubts on whether I became a product manager because I have an MBA. Back then in 2013, product companies, not many even came to campus. But having said that, I definitely second Abhishek that it's not required for the role. But that's also true for any role you do after the MBA, right? So you don't really, MBA is not your job prep for any role that you take after an MBA. MBA is about kind of building your skill set, kind of understanding what you want to do next, and also building the connections that you need, right? So that's why most people do an MBA. But having said that, it does become easy for you to break into product management. For some people, it didn't work for me, but it definitely worked for a few of my batchmates, where the campus will bring more product companies to your door, right? And today there are a lot of product companies, and it's interesting that even some of the companies that I've worked with, if we are hiring freshers, we only go to MBA colleges. We might not ask for MBA as a requirement when we are hiring people from outside, but in general, going to campuses, we can't be conducting a lot of drives where we invite everybody because PMs don't have time to interview a lot of people. So like Abhishek pointed out, in some companies, it continues to be a filter because for one product role, thousands of applicants apply, right? So you need something to really filter out that application. But having said that, if you are very how do I put it? If you're very sure that product management is what you want to do, and if you contact the right people and take up the right internships and right roles that come your way, I'm sure MBA is not going to stand in the way of you achieving that.
Yeah, I agree with Ashay saying.
Yes.
Break through the clutter somewhere. MBA helps again, a lot of roles, not a PM alone, right? The network and the experience does help in terms of just becoming a more well-rounded person in some sense, because you're exposed to different kinds of people, different environment. That way it helps. But yeah, I agree with what you said.
Even I have very similar opinions. I've seen so many of my friends without MBA getting into it just by talking to the right people. An MBA in itself just connects you with the right set of people, and also, like Abhishek mentioned, it's a way of recruitment efficiency rather than of any skill set shortlisting. Moving on to the next part of it. So now we have heard throughout the discussion today that a lot of emphasis for a product manager, a lot of emphasis has to be on being user first, having that user empathy, and delivering the right experiences. And if everyone agrees that design plays an important role in delivering that right experience to the right people. And Ajit, my next question is for you, and this might be slightly design centric. A lot of times what early product designers struggle to include in their the wireframes or designs is that they can include the user empathy, but they somehow fail to miss any of the business insights. So there might be some business objectives that might be missed because the entire focus remains on the user first and user centricity. So, when you were starting out, maybe how did you overcome this challenge and became a better product designer and deliver the right experience?
Okay, before you start, Ajit, the question, right? So Ajit and me worked together briefly in Freshworks. And the first time he came to our company and said, we have to do user research and UX and start figuring out processes around this. I still remember the amount of convincing he had to do to get people to get that to happen. He's had a lot of struggle making it obvious to him seemed to bewilder a lot of us, to be honest. So sorry to that.
Hey, yeah. Thanks, Abhi. I think with Aishwarya as well, I had a similar experience. Okay, so here is the brutal truth, right? User research, the term research, when you bring into the equation, right? Two things pops up in your head. It's going to take time. Product does not have time always. Two, I need a lot of time, which means I need a lot of money, which means I have to set calls, I have to listen to a lot of folks. So that's going to basically derail my roadmap. But the truth of the matter is, and if you also want the result as soon as possible, research and instant gratification does not go together. It takes time, right? So I did have a lot of hard lessons as well. For me, making design work for a company became the primary statement. It's not about design has to be this. It's about understanding what the face of the company is in. In fact, the interesting perspective I wanted to bring with very different kind of PMs here as well, right? So there's one PM who's always focused on execution, right? They're really good with engineers and they'll get things done. There's another PM who's really good with how it can be shaped. They dream a lot, right? Then there's another PM who's just metric driven. And all these three different kinds of perspective are important, even for a designer. So a lot of what I started understanding was, if I have to pitch design, right, I'll have to talk in the language that PMs and other folks understand, which means that's where the common metric starts coming in. Let's agree upon a metric that is going to make sense for all of us, and let me then go towards that kind of design, right? But if somebody tells me, hey, you know what, you don't have any constraints, give me the best design possible, understand at what phase that project is in. Is it like a new project, or is it like an existing project, or is it like we are solving like very small problems inside the whole system, right? And then think about what are the metrics that I might require to define, then move ahead designing it. I'll give you a small example, right? Since I worked on both Freshworks and Flipkart, which is like miles apart. Flipkart is very different. They keep beating around the bush, or even Amazon for the matter, keeps beating around the bush that reviews are important and things like that. And I think there are tons and tons of reviews. There is a company people set up in Indonesia, and they keep writing like false reviews. I think we've all read about it. I think fast forward 10 years, I think right now, written reviews does not even make sense. there is one video which somebody comes and says it's awesome, it's equivalent to 1,000 reviews, right? So are there video reviews that are possible? And why aren't e-commerce company kind of adopting it like on a large scale, right? This is completely different way of looking at the problem. If I'm going after the next set of users in India, right? They don't know how to read, or they don't want to spend time reading. If you look at a video, they're more than happy. Even commerce can go on video, and shopping could be done on that, right? So the idea of a designer is to understand, bring the user perspective inside, and then define what might be the best experience, right? Then stop right there, think about what all metrics we have to kind of address. Then again, go back to the same design on how can I map this user metric to the user to the metric. What I see in the industry that designers don't do that is they don't marry these two at all. So that's because it's a lot of effort. So obviously, I have to convince so many people, as all the PMs also said, right? I have to convince so many people around me that we'll have to start looking at it this way. So for me, that is the true place where design can win, because that makes the product even better, right? So I'll bring in that person. You'll have to wear multiple hats, and then the way you can wear that multiple hats is with metrics. So tying these two is extremely important, and look at it from always the angle of the user, right? So user is what, if users don't, a good product exists because for the user. And if you take the user out of the equation, what is the point, right? So it's as good as the product can be archived or kept aside. So focus on the user, focus on the metric. I think result will be.
So, one of the examples that you gave, that's what pretty much we are doing, being video first. So that's what even we feel is very important. And that's what we are trying to do at Seco. So yeah, we really resonate with that, be it for reviews or be it for delivering any customer experience. So, one last question now for, this is again to all of you. We are seeing even in the comments thread, in the chat thread, that a lot of people are asking about just, as they are just freshers, what can be the advice that they can follow. So if you have to give a 30-second advice to yourself when you were just starting your product journey, what would that be? So we can start with Himanshu maybe on this.
So just to understand the question, Aman, you're saying 30-second advice that we were to give to ourselves or to people who are starting right now?
To yourself, when you were starting your career, what was something that you would like to recommend yourself?
Got it. I would just probably tell myself that like on hindsight, obviously now knowing where and how I have reached, I would just tell myself, go for roles that would give you or companies that would give you a very good depth of experience in the product field, right? And not directly, let's say, try and become a PM or because like as a PM you really need to manage a lot of stakeholders. You really need to kind of know a lot of functions very, very well. That's the only way you can become a good PM, right? So product is not just about let's say one specific skill set and you acquire it and then you become a product manager, right? So I would probably just tell myself, spend a lot of time to build your base, build a very strong base, right? Because there's an entire life to be like a good product leader across various companies, but spend like good 3, 4, 5 years and make your base very, very strong, right? And like I think a lot of things which everybody talked about in this panel are really important. So I'm sure a lot of takeaways from those things too. Yeah.
Aishwarya.
Yeah, sure. So one thing is I would tell myself is the coolness factor, right, of the feature that you're working for or the company that you're working for doesn't matter to you or anybody, because I've personally been super guilty of being excited about working on any feature that has these cool taglines of AI, ML, and IoT, whatnot, right? And I also see that in a lot of candidates when I interview them, that for any problem that we give them, they'll try to fit in a AI angle, ML angle, or IoT angle to it, right? So, but I just wanted to clarify that product management is about giving practical, relevant solutions to your customer needs. So all these cool buzzwords are for your marketing team to get people to come to your product. But those technologies still have a long way to go, right? We've been hearing about them for decades now. They are there. We are in a much better state now, but don't really reject an opportunity or reject a feature because it does not have these cool taglines attached to it.
I think I saw this post the other day on behind a bus for a Honda Activa that said instant electric start as one of the 4 features selling the bike. So this team went to the product manager and said, tell me 4 cool things about the bike that I can tell to the
Abhishek, if you want to go next.
I'd say read a few books. I think, I don't know if it's outdated right now, but Getting Real by the Basecamp founders was a book I read very early on in my product career. It was very simple, but gave me very, very simple insights. One more thing that I is again from my first boss, he talks about respect the problem and ignore the solution. People will come to you with 1,000 solutions of what they want to be built, but I need to understand from there what is it they're asking for. If they say I want this, they're not asking for the solution. They're expressing their problem in a certain solution format. So the idea of asking why until you figure out what the core. I think I just spoke about it also earlier, right? Some core issue, understand the core problem of the user. That's very important. So that curious mindset and figuring out, don't rush to build. I know it's cool, it gets done and it's fun building and all that, but you only get better when you ask questions and get to the root of the problem. That's when read a lot, as much as you can, read a lot, absorb as much as you can from people, and understand that in general, PMs are not generally, depending on the company itself, not necessarily come with a whole bunch of respect across where you go. You have to build that. Reputations and respect is earned, not given by a title. Even if you are a certain title, you have to earn it through your work. So it's important to come with that understanding and earn people's respect through your value add. I think there's a few things that I probably tell myself.
Okay. And lastly, Ajit, if you want to go.
Hey, all points are really good. So I'll give 2 perspectives. One, I wish I was not biased. I think bias is the biggest enemy that you can get in the early part of your career. I think it was covered in different angles from all the other folks as well. Don't be biased. Doesn't matter if you think one solution is good, step back, think about why that solution is good and keep questioning how you can improve it, right? Or talk to relevant people who might be actually able to give you what the actual problems, right? So understanding bias and moving away from it is the best way to bring out the best product solution possible. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is I like the idea of sales, because more often than not, you are actually pitching a solution. There's no solution in the world which is like really automatic and everything flies off. No, that never happens. There's a marketing around it. There's some kind of buzz around it, right? So, but the idea is, how do you pitch the solution? A salesperson really, really understands what the other person needs and then pitches the product or the solution or the service to them, right? So being a designer, what I've come to understand is sales is such an integral part of this. And I've even heard in some sessions which I've attended that sales is a very good add-on to the product role. And it really, really helps. So 2 things, I wish I had spent more time on understanding my biases and learning sales much better. I think would have been a very good add-on.
Thank you so much for that. And now already there are lots and lots of questions that users have asked. So let's spend some time on answering some of these questions. So one question that I don't have the names here, but one of the questions that has been asked is, are there any good books or authors that you would recommend to get started? So Abhishek, you mentioned about reading books, but about Ishwarya, maybe you can recommend any books, or others if you want to recommend any books for to just get started on product career.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been mentioned already, but Hooked by Nir Eyal is a very good book, on product as well as growth mindset. How do you engage your users? It's called Hooked, HOOKED.
Yeah,
Okay.
one thing I would add is Inspired by Marty Kagan. It's a recent edition. There was one a few years ago, but there is a republished edition of it, which is also great. But I will also add, as a PM, don't just read about product management books, right? Also read books that would kind of help you get more creative. So try to read books in varied topics in general. That's good practice also.
Yeah, I agree to that. Having that diversity in general helps you get better at the job. One book even I would recommend is it's on the business side of things, but it's called 0 to 1. Helps in thinking about a lot of things that can scale very easily, but building it in the right way, in the right from the right fundamentals. So that is one book that I would recommend from my side. So Ajit, moving to the next question. Ajit, there is a question specifically for you. So can you elaborate on the role of a product designer, and what are the education or the skills that are needed for that?
Sure. I think 10 years back, I think people who came from NID, like a design background, they kind of knew about design. That's what we were thinking. But I think fast forward now, there's just so much amount of material right now. So much, I can't even imagine how much. You can pick up design right from the web. So that's how it is right now. What I would basically maybe tell some of the young folks to do is, if you see that one of the app is something that you don't like, pick up the app, understand why the app is even designed that way, kind of go all around the web to understand what people are commenting about it and what is it that the app is lacking. And then you take a shot at what you can do about it, right? And once you do it, give it to actual user and see what they think about it and get that feedback. The first feedback might be actually not nice, and I think you need to hear it, because as a designer, you're always very attached to your design. I think what you have to do is you have to detach yourself from the design. That's when you can constantly keep iterating. So that is very, very, very important. So more than books, I think it's the experimentation and the tinkering part. That is the mindset that you should develop for every designer out there. If you're interested in design and management combinations, I think there are a lot of courses around the world. I think NID Ahmedabad offers one, Domus Italy offers one, New York Institute offers one. They combine business and design together, which is a very, very different take. And that's a nice way to go if you want to explore design and business together. So that's from.
So the next question is, can you give an example of a project that you guys are working on as PMs? So maybe Himanshu, if you can go first on this. Maybe all of us can share one of the projects that we have been working on, just to get set better context of what the work is like for a.
Well, I would say there are like so many projects, right? There are some projects that you start right from scratch, and then there are some projects which, let's say, become like a feature set, of a current problem statement or of a current product, right? So I would say, let's say, one problem with Undlu that we're trying to solve, as a product manager is build. How do you engage your users? Let's say I'll give you a very simple example. Let's say if it's an e-commerce platform, right? If a user comes on board, makes a purchase and then exits, right? So what happens to that user? Because there's an acquisition cost for the user, right? Now, as a product manager, the problem statement given to you is, once you've acquired that user, how do you re-engage that user? How do you get that user back into the funnel again, for, let's say, the next possible need? And the solution is, then you start. So there are a lot of problem statements you write, right? And then you start working at possible solutions. Like one of them could be an engaged community, right? And maybe Ajit can add, like Flipkart has added a lot of such engaging elements, giving, let's say, videos and even short videos and a lot of such engaging elements that will engage users, right? So that's just one problem statement, and it's a very deep problem statement, by the way. I've just given probably like a 10,000 feet overview of the problem, just for an example. Yeah.
Abhishek, do you want to add to it what kind of problems you are working on?
So right now we're building a platform for enabling corporate volunteers to volunteer virtually, which means that Earlier, I remember when old companies, I used to go physical volunteering, beach cleanup, flow donation drive, blood donation drive, and all that. Now with the pandemic happening, office is not really going back to physical and probably not ever being fully in office. You're looking at how to corporate volunteering shouldn't die because of COVID. The idea of giving back shouldn't die. So you're trying to figure out how to enable volunteers and corporates to give back remotely. So that means a lot of places. So we not only not a tech solution, it's a tech-enabled solution. So a lot of experiences are done, a lot of preparation happening. So it's more of a service that's tech-enabled. So how do you make? So we're building a marketplace for our internal teams, for our customers, for nonprofits. How do they add opportunities? How do volunteers find opportunities? How do our internal teams manage these services? So think of like a Swiggy or Uber for volunteering, where it's not only the front-facing app, also a driver app, a restaurant app. So you're enabling services through tech.
So I'll maybe talk about something that happened during the pandemic. I think two things started happening. A lot of shopping, of course. And I think a lot of the next 200 million customers, including sellers, started accessing the digital space more and more, right? There was a lot of video-driven content consumption that was happening, which means video was becoming the new norm. And there were layers of activities that was happening on top of it. One was shopping. So we worked on a very nice social commerce project, which was basically putting on a shopping layer on top of, imagine a shopping layer on top of TikTok, right? So how is that possible? Can we even do live streams? And these things are not very new or anything, but these things have been happening in China for a while. I think India is just gearing up to look at these aspects very well now. The second aspect is the sellers of India, right? I believe in this problem statement a lot because India, if you take US, right? So a core part of their economy, if you see, there's a lot of SMBs there who are small business, small or medium business folks who start business and they're like doing really well. The ecosystem exists for them. And in India also, there's so many people who want to sell online. What if we could have like a simpler platform for them such that they could just come online and start selling, right? Need not be just Flipkart. It could be on anything else, right? Can we enable the sellers of India? So that is one problem statement that we've taken so that our seller platform is slowly developing or moving towards that. That is something that we are working on, which means we have to go deep-rooted understanding all the sellers of India in the belts of Jaipur or like the north or in the south. How do they think about business? What do they want as what help do they need? How do they maintain their catalog, the financial books and accountings, right? So how can we make that easier for them? So that's our core problem statement. That's something which I'm working on. Not exactly, Meesho is not trying to solve all of that problem, maybe some of that problem, yes. But there's a lot more to it. There are more D2C brands that are coming up, which is direct to consumer brands. That solves exactly that problem. Enable the seller. There are two types of products. One, you control a seller. Another, you enable a seller. So I believe in the second part. Enable a seller, I think you'll see a lot more outburst in India. And I think next 10 years is going to be good for us.
We are already seeing some, uptake in that with Mensa brand and a lot of other players coming and enabling sellers, what you were mentioning.
Correct.
But so there are many questions which are there, but unfortunately we are running out of time. So we'll have to close this today. Thank you all the panelists, Ajit, Himanshu, Aishwarya, Abhishek for taking this time out. It was wonderful interacting with you and learning about your experiences.